A beauty contest was judged by AI and the robots didn't like dark skin. Oh, this is such a stupid thing to title an article. Okay, I'll explain to you later in the article because they actually repeat this. So I know for a fact this title is their genuine belief on this subject and not some clickbait title generated to get clicks. They genuinely think that a robot is capable of racism and bias based on skin color. That's so absurd. Okay. The first international beauty contest judged by machines was supposed to use objective factors such as facial symmetry and wrinkles to identify the most attractive contestants. And as I will show you later, that's exactly what it did. Okay. And this is where they basically repeat the title, so I know they're not just doing this for clicks. But when the results came in, the creators were dismayed to see that there was a glaring factor linking the winners. The robots did not like people with dark skin. Holy shit, that is the dumbest thing I've ever read in my life. Well, not the dumbest, but one of them. Out of the 44 winners, nearly all white, a handful were Asian, and only one had dark skin. And here's the part you need to pay attention to. That's despite the fact, although the majority of contestants were white, do you know how the probability factor works? If the majority of submissions are white, that's a majority of chances to actually make it into the winner's circle. And then if the second majority were Asian of the submissions, then they're probably gonna get the second majority of the winners. It's a probability game at this point. It's not a racist issue, man. You're projecting race onto an algorithm that is detecting people based on facial symmetry and shit like that. It's absurd. Okay, and now I'll show you. I'll show you the results, some of the results here in a second that they provided. And I'll show you just how unbiased it is, because it is. Okay, let me finish that sentence. That despite the fact that although the majority of contestants were white, many people of color submitted photos, including large groups from India and Africa. Again, they're probably not going to be the winners if the second majority of submissions were Asians and the first majority of submissions were whites. Those are probably going to be the majority. It makes absolute sense. And depending on how much of a majority they are, because I don't know how, they don't cite the numbers here. That's the thing. If there's like, because they say there's 6,000 people from more than 100 countries, but that's the thing. If like 5,000, if like 4,000 of them were white, and like 1,700 of them were Asian, then yeah, that absolutely makes sense why they would almost all be the winners. So I don't know, okay? I don't know. Maybe it's not a skin color bias. If that's not a factor that is programmed into this algorithm, the pigment of your skin, it's impossible. And that's the thing, okay? Because you're not going to program skin pigment recognition into a bot that's fucking judging based on symmetry and shit. That's absurd. So if it's not programmed into the bot, you can't have a racial bias recognition. You can't have racial bias if the bot is incapable of actually recognizing pigment to begin with. It's judging purely on symmetrical factors. So it cannot be racist unless you program it with something that lets it decide on your skin color. I highly doubt that. Unless they can prove to me that it can recognize skin color, then it's absurd. It's just judging on objective factors. But again, a numbers game, it absolutely makes sense. Alright, of course they're going to be the majority. If they're the majority, they're probably most likely going to be the majority winners unless all the whites that submitted photos were somehow the least symmetrical ones of the submissions. Then yeah, you'll get the minorities that submitted photos a lot more on the top if you got a bunch of quote-unquote algorithmically ugly whites submitting photos. That makes sense. But from what I'm seeing, it didn't. Okay, so here is the I went ahead and put it on paint so I can show it to you in a bigger image. Do you see the symmetry there? Not only that, She shares features with every single one of these people. They all have the skinny necks. They all have the somewhat elongated noses. They have that bridge right there on the nose. They all share that. They all have the chins that are very, I don't know the term for that. They all have that pointed, effeminate chin thing. Okay? And they all have absolutely amazing symmetry. They absolutely... Ugh, it's not a straight line. They all have, like, look at that symmetry. That is fucking amazing. They all have that. All of them. Except for maybe, like, her nose, but that might just be a camera damage. But yes, they're all incredibly symmetrical people, and they all share the same sort of nose bridge, the chin, even the necks, and even things down to the hair. They all have very flat headline hair. None of them have these giant fucking, you know, poof haircuts that are not symmetrical on both sides. They all have almost symmetrical hair. It makes sense. It makes sense these people would win. The whites and Asians were the majority of submissions. So of course they're going to take the majority of spots because they have the majority of chances, the majority of... I mean, even in a numbers game, they literally have more chances because the more people... I mean, even ones that are not as attractive as these ones, symmetrically, have a chance of making it in there because there's just more of them that's being tested. Okay, you have a bigger sample size of whites, of course you're going to get results that favor whites, and same for Asians. You have a bigger sample size for Asians, you're going to get results that favor Asians simply because they have more chances on simple individual features. So even if they aren't like completely symmetrical, there's a higher chance that they're even going to occupy the lower of the 44 winners, simply because there's more of them to judge. There's more chances that they'll slightly fit on a higher symmetrical level than all of the other contestants. So it absolutely makes sense. You know, if you wanted equal results, you have to give them an equal sample size. You have to give them comparable people, right? So that's the thing. I mean, they could, if it was the majority of blacks, they probably would have been the majority of winners, but they're not. Okay, it's really the thing, man. They're not giving us the numbers of the ratios, so I'm already suspect of this, that they're hiding something. So I'm already way too suspicious of the bias of this article. The fact that they're calling an algorithm that's designed on math has no programmed ability to recognize pigment to begin with and judge based on that factor. I just don't trust this article in the slightest. And the fact that they give you the numbers, but they don't give you the actual... I mean, they give you the 6,000 in the 100 countries, but they don't actually give you any of the actual ratios, which leads me to believe that they might be hiding something. Because, I mean, I could literally probably prove this mathematically. They actually gave me something more than that, but fuck, man, I don't want to look up that information. I'm too lazy. I don't give that much care about this to begin with. I just wanted to call out this dumbass shit, man. Okay, so in summary, it's a numbers game. They won because they were the majority. They had the majority of chances, and even the ones that were quote-unquote symmetrically ugly had a higher chance because they probably still outnumbered the ones that were submitted. So they probably were more likely to, you know, occupy the top winners and the low winners just by sheer numbers. Just by sheer submissions, by sheer chances of getting some sort of feature that's recognized. So it makes sense, okay? It makes sense. It's not racist. It's doing exactly what it's mathematically programmed to do, with the sample size that was given from people of color and Asians and whites.